Hello, in this video I'm going to go through how the hide and seek game works. So what we do first of all is the students need to put some data in. Okay, you would have split your class into 4 groups: foxes, cats, dogs and bats, and so each student then needs to be given the link to the Google form. An easy way of doing this is if you go on tools and go send form, and then I'll take a copy of the link and I'll either email it to them or put it in a shared drive where they can all access it. When the students have entered it, all they do is they just put their first name, the team that they're on, and then the square that they want to hide in. And then they submit that and that will come through onto the form. Now this is my year 7 class again. Now just to talk you through the rest of how the game works. So first of all, basically to discover the squares, what I do is a question comes up and then I'll let the students answer it. Start off with, I might do an all play question such that everybody in the class can answer. If they get the question right, they get to choose a square. Now on that was a blank square, so nobody was found. Ask another question. This time I might sort of pick particular students, or I might pick a row of the room. But again, with my questioning, I'm just thinking about how I can involve all students and sort of keep everybody in the toes, if you will. With any question, if someone doesn't get it within 30 seconds, I'll always then just open it up to everyone. So it always keeps every student thinking about the questions. So again, they might pick another square. Now you can see when we've picked this one, so B3. So there's been 3 people have been found: David Silverbat, Mesut Ozil dog, and Lionel Messi cat have all been found. And it tells us here how many people are remaining. So there's 1 bat left, 3 dogs, 3 cats. I tend to do this for about 10 squares, and then whichever team has the most people left at the end is the winning team. So in this situation, then the dogs would be the winners because they've got 2 players left. Now, just on other features of this, the way I've set it up, if when you ask a question, if you want to see the answer, just click this answer tab there, and then it will take us through to the answer, and then just click leaderboard to go back to the board. Now, also to bring up the next question, we just press next question, and it will take us to our next question. I said next question a lot there. If the question's a bit small and you want to see it bigger, then you click here and there we go. Now, again on that, if you want it even bigger, you can play about with these and sort of make it ginormous. And then just click there to go back to the leaderboard. There's also different strands of questions. If I click on one of these numbers, then it will take questions from a different column, which I'm just going to show you where the questions are put. So my set 1 of questions I put in here. Set 2 questions I would put here. Set 3 questions there, set 4 questions there. Now what that allows us to do is when you click on a number, it will go to them. So you could have easy questions as a grade 1. So maybe if you've picked 4 students who you think, look, these are towards the lower end of my lesson confidence-wise, you could put them on there. And then if you pick, say, 4 students who are high achievers, very confident learners, then you can click on the 4 and it will give them the harder questions. So it gives you a lot of flexibility within the game to sort of tailor it to the needs of your class. I think that's pretty much all of it that I've gone over. I hope it makes sense, and I hope you carry on enjoying energising learning. Thanks for watching.